Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Entrepreneur Hour. Today is a special show. My Metabronx media team has decided to interview me, and we're going to have some of them working behind the scenes producing today's show. They're producing the show in a different way. Today's the first day where some of them come on and produce behind the scenes. So let me send out the link to be on the show. Christian, good idea. But Christian doesn't want to show his face on camera, so he's going to produce from the comment section of YouTube. I'm going to get him to be on camera soon. And Madison, where you at? I know you're hiding. I'm going to get you to come on camera too. Isaac, you're going to come on camera, and Nasheem and Kevin. So while I wait for them, I'm going to talk about Metabronx. Metabronx today, this morning at 9 o'clock in the morning, we onboarded another 175 participants. Our program is historically large at this point. We are introducing almost 300 young people from communities of color to the innovation economy. It's a huge undertaking, and it's been awesome. It's been fun. Christian will be on camera next week, okay? So that's good. All right, so we got Madison behind the scenes working with me. So Metabronx, we are onboarding another 175 kids today, and it's going to be interesting. So my goal this summer with my groups is to create an online store from scratch that sells clothing and a video game from scratch because of the interest from the group. All these kids, young people, want to either make a clothing line or a game. So I see it as what we've been calling behind the scenes the new lemonade stand. And then sometimes we call it the new hood lemonade stand. Because my goal is to introduce them to the innovation economy through their own path, I'm going to let them choose how we do it. So games and online stores is how we're doing it. So on this Friday, I'm going to have a store that I actually created and I partnered with called The Bronx Native. His name is Maurice Brouillon. He's going to be on the show on Friday talking about creating an online clothing line. And we're going to start that process. And then me and my team have behind the scenes been working on a game idea based on a graffiti character I created when I was their age. So it's been fun. It's been fun getting back into like thinking like a teenager and what I was doing at their age and trying to kind of connect with them in a way that I understand what they're going through. So we have Madison behind the scenes, and I need you to be on camera, Madison. We're going to start asking questions, and we're going to take questions from the audience. So it was your idea, Christian. You get the first question asked, and Madison, I need you on camera with me answering them, or you're fired. Hey, Madison. All right, so Christian, first question. Or if you have a question for me, Madison, what question do you have for me? You're on mute.
Like, how do you plan to like balance the game and the clothing line in the next 3 weeks?
Good question. So I am the type of entrepreneur. What people what people like to say that I do is I build the plane as I jump out the window. What that means is I don't always have a plan when I say I'm going to do something. And that works for me because I like living in the chaos. I'm not afraid of failing. I'm not afraid of hitting splat on the ground and be like, oh, that didn't work. Let me go back, jump again, right? So to me, I really want to show you guys and girl that failure is part of it. Everything I say we're going to do this summer may get done. Some of it may not get done. I'm going to try my hardest to get it done because I want to prove to myself I can do it. I want to show you guys that it's possible, but I'm not going to judge myself if it doesn't, right? So at the end of the day, right now, so you understand everything I'm working on, I'm making the Metabronx website. I am working on a website for MIT. I am launching a startup app in a few days. I am a father of 3 boys. I am also working with a group to help startups crowdfund their ideas. I'm also running Metabronx that has 300 students and participants. It's all crazy. If I was stressing out about all the stuff I have to do, it would be a rough go. But I find by giving myself too much, I get way more done than giving myself too little and then trying to overachieve on the too little. I'd rather fill my task list and see how far I get, right? So it's a good question because there's adults that ask me the same thing. My kids ask me the same thing. So it's a good question, but you have to find your own comfort zone, right? When you get into the working world, you have to figure out a way of being happy, right? For me, I love the chaos. I love new ideas. I love the fact that I can create anything I want to create. So when we met and you participants were like, I want to work on a game, I was like, all right, how can I help them make a game? Then I thought, all right, it's going to be hard to come up with a concept as a group. Let me come up with the concept. It's going to be hard to do X, Y, Z. Let me do as much of it myself as I can to move it along as far as possible. So that's where I did with the game. With the clothing line, I've built online stores for 20 years. That's not hard for me. The game is going to be hard for me. So out of all of them, the game is the one that worries me. Well, that's the one that I feel like, let's see how far I get. Good question, though. Good question. Christian, where's your question? You came up with this idea. And Clicks. Who's Clicks again? Clicks, is that Isaac? Who's Clicks? Where's Kevin at? My whole group. I need you guys to ask questions. Madeline, I guess you're going to have to keep it going. You got another question for me? Unmute yourself, sorry. Yeah.
Well, like, do you think there's a limit about like the amount of projects you take on at a time?
Great question. I have just started, not in Metabronx context, in life, I have started to limit what I'll say yes to doing. So a lot of people reach out to me and be like, oh, Miguel, I would love to have you involved in this project, this thing. And before, I pretty much say yes to everything. Like, yeah, all right, let's do it. Last year, I told myself, look, if it doesn't do a few things, I'm going to say no to it. If it doesn't, one, help me with Metabronx, I'm not going to do it, right? So how can it help me with Metabronx? It could give me a network that helps the young people I'm working with get into an industry that I didn't have access or we didn't have access to. It can help funding Metabronx. It can help marketing Metabronx. It can help with the organization in general. That's one. Next thing is it a project that I would work on if it didn't make money? That's one, right? Because I don't want it to only be about money. If I'm working on something and it's only for the money, it's going to get to a point where the money's not worth it, right? So that's another big thing. And then it has to make money too. So I want projects where I would work on it even if there wasn't money, but it does have money. So these are my new, like, kind of like, this is my sweet spot for projects. If it doesn't fit into one of those, I'm not going to work on it. Metabronx is different though. Games were not on my radar. But Metabronx, I created Metabronx for me 20 years ago. And I know me 20 years ago would have wanted to made a game. So I'm saying, hey, future me, you're going to have to help younger me make this game. So it's not something I'm super passionate about, but I know the younger me would have been. So I'm going to make it happen. And also my kids, right? My kids really want to make a game. And I haven't really figured out how to do it. But now through this experience, I'm like, all right, maybe I could. Maybe I could do it. All right, so first question is in. Other than your two very good questions. See what I'm saying, Madison? You're killing it. You're gonna be my guest, my guest interviewer the rest of the way. I don't think you understand that, but that's what's gonna happen. My question for Miguel is, how do you balance learning multiple fields and professions? Good question. I choose things that I know I'm gonna get passionate about because it's gonna be hard. Like I'll give you an example. If Big Oil came to me tomorrow and said, "Hey Miguel, we want you to work on a project," it's gonna be real tough for me to get interested in that. Like I'm not gonna care too much. But like for instance, when I got asked to work on an artificial intelligence system for surgery, I was like, oh, that is cool. So I said, all right, let's do it. So I said, I don't know anything about that. Hold on, we got Nasheem. All right. All right, so I'm telling Nasheem to come behind the scenes. So for me, there's projects that come my way that if I'm not interested in it, and this kind of goes to the question you may have asked, is there a limit? There's no limit because I could always get more people to work on it, right? So as a business, you don't work on everything. And eventually I will work on nothing. So, but right now I still enjoy working on things, right? So there's no limit because I could always get a project and say, okay, here's the team that's going to work on it. You know who does this? Elon Musk, right? Elon Musk is not building the car, building the spaceship, but he has like 10 companies. He puts a team around that company that he knows can work on it without him. So then he comes in and he deals with them, right? And that's kind of my goal. I'm going to get to the point where this game, there'll be a team that deals with it. Hopefully it's you guys, right? Hold on, Nasheem's asking me a question. Mass ideation, there'll be a team that deals with it. Metabronx, as you've seen, Metabronx, I'm in as a mentor. Philip is behind the scenes running the team that makes all of this possible. Because to manage 300 and something people in 2 months is very, very difficult. But because I have a team, I'm able to be a mentor. If I didn't have a team, I would have to be behind the scenes and not mentor you guys. So part of me is working in many different ways here, right? I'm actually a team member of Metabronx, but at the same time, I'm a mentor. And then, of course, I'm doing the show, we're doing the marketing. So good question. Next question. Actually, Madison, you choose the next question and put it up on the screen as my co-producer. Why was creating an online store a big moment for you that is making you want to help others do the same? So when I talk about the innovation economy, that basically means the internet. right? The internet is making things possible that were not possible 10, 15, 20 years ago. When I started my career, it was around helping people get online. So I told you guys a lot of my stories, and I don't know if many people watching even know this, but I made websites for Jennifer Lopez, for Lil Wayne, a bunch of more people, right? Jennifer Lopez, for instance, I made her first online store. So I helped a celebrity put her clothing line online, right? So now, 20 years later, that process is a million times easier. And a lot of you young people want to do the same thing. So just like the game, I see the online clothing store as the new lemonade stand. So I want to show you guys how to make a lemonade stand. So that's what's going to happen. I'm going to show you that starting Friday. Come back on Friday at 11 o'clock. We got Amaudi's coming in. He's going to explain how to build a brand. And I built his store. I built his website. It's bronxnativeshop.com. So he will be on as a guest on Friday. Good question, though. All right. Give me the next question, Madison. Oh, actually, and bring on Isaac. Bring Isaac on to the show. You know how to do it? You have to press his face. There you go.
What's up?
Isaac, what's up, man? All right, so Isaac, I asked for you on my team because a few things. You were interested in artificial intelligence. Do you have any questions for me around artificial intelligence or anything in general?
Why are you interested in artificial intelligence? Is there something that specifically caught your eye about it, or it's just interesting, you know?
So how did I get interested in artificial intelligence?
Yeah.
So I got interested in artificial intelligence through a technology called augmented reality. You know what that is?
Yeah.
So most of the public may not know. Most of you are wearing glasses right now. One day, I believe everyone will be wearing glasses in some form or fashion that will put them into the internet. What that means is your glasses will, as you walk around, show you things around the world and give you access to a digital layer of the same world that you walk around in. That's called augmented reality. When I first saw that technology, I thought of the Terminator. Why? Have you ever seen the movie The Terminator?
Oh, yeah.
I forget how young you guys are, but the Terminator, he's a robot, and as he's walking around, he's viewing the world through an AI view, and he's basically like, "Oh, that is Isaac, that is Madison, that is Miguel," and it's visually showing that. So I saw that technology, and I was like, "That's artificial intelligence," but that's going to give humans the hard artificial intelligence view of the world. So I said, I want to get into that technology. And I did. I started making artificial intelligence through augmented reality for IHOP, Nickelodeon, Chanel, Louis Vuitton, myself. And that's how I really started getting into it. But I got really, really into it a few years ago when I started to see how it was starting to automate a lot of jobs, and the jobs that it was going to automate were jobs of people like you and me and your parents. So I was really worried that how would the future work if most minorities are not going to have jobs? So I said, I better start helping the future generation like you get into artificial intelligence so you could have some of those jobs. So that was why when you said you were into artificial intelligence, I was like, all right, I need to have you on my team because you're one of the first people that said that, and I want to make sure you are ready for this future that I see coming, you know? So I believe there's two ways the future will work. I believe either you're coding artificial intelligence or some type of technology that is very difficult for people to do, So it's going to be make you much more of in demand, or you're going to do some type of show or something like that where your brand is the reason people want to work with you. So why do you think I make this show every day, the Entrepreneur Hour? Because I'm growing my brand, so people come to me for projects. I'm working with big brands. A lot of times it's because they see the content I put out. So as young people, I want you to understand both those worlds. There's the marketing and the showing and the advertising of who you are. And then there's the skills of creating stuff that most people can't create. So that's where both my career kind of intertwine, right? I work on stuff where it's very hard for people to work on because I'm ahead in the technology world. But then I'm creating content around what I do. So good question, super long answer. But all right, who's next? Madison. Or actually, Isaac, pick the next question.
All right. This is a really cool guy in the chat.
Not here. That's the cool guy. All right. What motivated you to stay an entrepreneur? You said you don't care much for the money. So what drives you in this field? Good question. I am motivated by freedom. To me, entrepreneurship does not mean money. It means freedom. I'm not looking at getting private jets and $100,000 gold watches. I want to be able to live as much of my life without anyone else telling me what to do. So if I get to, as my own business owner, decide what I am, what I do, I just read it, Isaac. What I get to do, that is why I stay motivated to stay in entrepreneurship. Nasheem, I know you're back here too. I need you to come on the screen too. Nasheem. And I need you to ask me a question next. Nasheem's fired. All right. Come on the screen.
How has being an entrepreneur affected your family life?
Good question. I wish you would have been on camera as you asked it, because you are going to later edit yourself asking me this question for marketing. Remember that. That's a good question though. So my sons always believe I work too much, right? But they're young. They don't understand. I actually probably spend more time with them than most parents get to spend with their kids, because I am an entrepreneur. I could pick them up from school. I could be at every game or show that they have. My parents couldn't do that. I played baseball until I was 17 years old. My parents never went to one of my games because they had jobs and they couldn't leave their job to be at my game, right? So my son yesterday, actually, I was on a call at around 8 o'clock, and my son comes into the room and he's like, "How come you're working right now?" And I said, "Well, I gotta finish this." And he said, "If you're the boss, how come you can't get somebody else to do the work for you?" And I was like, "That's a good point." But the truth is, you can't have everybody do everything for you. So there is going to be points where you have to work and do the work. And it's going to be hard for your loved ones to understand that. But eventually, one day they will. I know at a young age, they don't understand it. They just see it as dad works a lot, but they don't really understand the context of other parents that I don't. I do get to spend a lot more time with them than most. So I try to explain that to them. Sometimes I get angry, and I'm like, "You have no idea how lucky you are," and I, but I understand they're young, they don't understand it. But it's tough. It's tough. Even sometimes I'm like, "Damn, should I work today or should I take them to a pool or something?" Right? So, and I get to make that decision. But sometimes I'm like, "All right, I'm putting this project at risk if I take them to the pool," But sometimes I got to put the project at risk. But that's where building a team, right? So sometimes I'll say, okay, I'm going to go to the pool, but X person is taking care of it. I don't have to worry. Good question, Nasheem. Next question, I need you on the camera, though. So take Nasheem off if he's not going to be on camera. You know how to take him off? There you go. See, so right now I have Metabronx participants. These are high school students producing a show that is live on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Twitch. That's the power of Metabronx right there. All right, choose the next question. One of you. Kevin, what do you think is your biggest strength? Good question. I think I have two strengths that help me. One is the ability to not give a F. So that is not normal, and I know that. Like, the fact that I'm willing to do this, most people wouldn't do this. People are like, oh, who do you think you are? Why are you going to do that? You know, they're going to talk crap about what you do. I'm lucky enough, and I don't know why I have it, but I don't care. That's one huge thing I think. I hope most of you learn from me this summer. Because part of what I'm showing you is literally this morning, we got on at 10 o'clock. I had been on a call from 8:30 to 9 where I was introducing the new cohort of Metabronx. Then I jumped on at 10 o'clock and I said, we're going live at 11. I have no idea what we're going to do, right? And all of you were like, what? Why would you do it then? And I said, you guys are going to figure out what we do in an hour. To me, that's only possible if you're not fearful about how things come off, how things look, right? Like at the end of the day, I came and I said, look, I'm not going to be embarrassed. I have no idea what we're doing in an hour. You young people are going to help me do that, right? So that was one big thing. That's one thing I believe helps me a lot. The second thing that I do believe I have somehow attained over time is the ability to take in a lot of different information and understand it, especially when it's things I care about. If it's something I don't care about, it's a little bit of information it's not staying in my head. But if I care and I'm interested and I'm passionate about it, I can take in a lot of information, understand it, and do it. So that's part of why I can make a game, make a website, make a show, because all those things I'm super passionate about. Like I said, the game I'm not super passionate about, but everything that makes a game, storytelling, coding, managing people, I'm passionate about those things, so I can do them. And I can do them at a high level because I do them for my business, right? So good question, Kevin. All right, I got a question he asked, which is a question I want to answer. Can you tell us about your TED Talk? You don't know, go on my YouTube. My TED Talk is there. Watch it one day, not right now. The TED Talk was probably one of the biggest things I've ever done, right? I was asked to do it with about a month to go. They basically tell you, talk about the biggest idea you have for 12 minutes. And luckily, a few years before that, I had started publicly speaking. I started playing around with public speaking. So when they said this, your biggest idea, what is it? Talk about it for 12 minutes. I was like, what is my biggest idea? Like, I don't know what my biggest idea is. So I had to come up with, based on everything I was doing, what was my biggest idea? At that time, Metabronx was something I was very heavily involved in to get to this point where we are this summer, 300 people plus. I was working on mass ideation, which we had a few projects. and I had got really into artificial intelligence, Isaac, and I was thinking about how artificial intelligence can end poverty. And while I was looking at artificial intelligence, I was like, this could be the equalizer, not that removes people from the economy, but helps them to be included in it. So I gave my talk about that. You have to watch it to hear how I think artificial intelligence can end poverty. I'll put the link in the description. But it was tough. It was tough because I had to. First of all, they give you a coach, which is awesome. They give you like a $3,000 a day coach, speaking coach, and he helped guide me on my story because I had no idea. I was nervous as hell. You're supposed to practice your TED Talk 60 times before the day of the show. I got nowhere near that. That day, I was in my car still practicing, like missing lines. I was so nervous because you know that this thing could get 1 million views. Mine has not got 1 million views yet, so I need you all to watch it at least 5 times so I get to 1 million views. Is that like 10,000 views now? But it was a great experience. I highly recommend anyone that's interested in publicly speaking, personal branding, to try to get to do one, because it is pretty intense, and it puts you in a position where not many things after that are as tough as that. So it's like, this is nothing, you know? People have asked me to speak after that. I'm like, yeah, no problem. Sure. And it definitely was a fun experience, and I like doing it. I want to do it again because I definitely think there were things that I wish I knew before I did it that now I know I can do it again. So good question. All right.
I have a question.
Go ahead, go.
Yeah, so, you've been an entrepreneur for a while, I suppose you can say. Do you have any advice for, people who just want to be entrepreneurs? How do they deal with adversity or, being pushed away or difficulties, any sort of failure they feel? How do they deal with that?
So this is one of the main reasons I created Metabronx, actually. Like, the idea of entrepreneurship is very, very connected to failing. And I know from growing up where you guys come from, failure is not something that we take lightly, because in our communities, failure could mean you spend the rest of your life in jail, right? So our parents, and it's out of survival, they teach us we can't fail. They try to put every possible thing around us so we don't fail. But that's not what entrepreneurship is about, right? So what I wanted to do with Metabronx is kind of separate the environment of the hood from entrepreneurship and show you that you can fail. You are going to fail. There's no way you're not. So I want you to see someone fail every day. You see me fail every day, right? Like, you see me wake up, get to the 10 o'clock, I'm there at 10:02, and I'm like, oh, sorry, I was late. You guys are late, and I'm like, oh, you're fired, right? And I tell you my stories of when I failed. I got fired from that Jennifer Lopez project because I woke up late, right? Failure, failure, failure. You cannot be stopped if you quit. If you don't quit, right? There's no way to fail if you don't quit, right? What happens in our communities is we're not taught that. So when we fail, we just stop. We just say, all right, you know what? It didn't work. What am I going to do? I'm going to go get a job. There's been many points where I should have done that. The year I started mass ideation, I also had twins. I told myself, no matter what, I'm not going to quit. I know I have twins. That's crazy. But I'm not going to stop this entrepreneur thing, no matter what. And there was many times where I should have. So if anything, I would tell you, you have to get that mindset that failure is not an option. It's going to happen. Um, failure is not an option. That's a good quote right there. Somebody use that and make that a meme, right? It's
Slap
going
it
to,
on a shirt.
yeah, that's a good shirt. There you go. We're gonna make that a shirt. You're gonna design that shirt, and I'll give you half of the proceeds because. So failure is not an option. Number two is it's never, ever, 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 ever going to be easier to become an entrepreneur than today. Give you an example of why. Right now, Isaac, how old are you?
16.
You're 16 years old. You're living at home still, right?
Yep.
Do you have any kids?
Nope.
Do you have any responsibilities that are super heavy financially?
I suppose not.
Okay. Every year that passes on, every day that passes on, you start to get more responsibilities. You start to get more other things that are going to come around that are going to make you have to give attention to them. Girls, stuff like that, right? Even as a person at my age, right? As I get older, it gets harder, right? It's going to get harder every day you wait. Starting today, it's never going to get easier. So if you don't start today, tomorrow's going to be a little bit harder. The next day is going to be a little bit harder. 2 years from now, it's going to be that much harder. 10 years from now, it's going to be that much harder. So that's a big thing. I think most people, that's part of why I'm doing this summer. I want to show you, I want to demystify. It's not that hard. It's not that hard. Anybody can do it. You got to have the right mindset. And you're going to fail. You're going to fail. You got to be waiting for it and be okay with it and learn from it. Another big thing I've heard, this ain't mine, but you don't fail, you learn. It's not failure, you're learning. It's a lesson. Take the lesson, not the L. Ooh, that's another shirt. You have to make that one. Take the lesson, not the L. All right. So, Madison, what question? Give me another question there. What is your greatest fear as an entrepreneur, and how do you manage fear? Good question. I don't know your name because your name is Clicks, but I think it's Axel. Is that Axel? Great question. My biggest fear is not being able to feed my kids, right? So there's times, and I'm gonna give you a story. My sons were born in October of 2009. I told you I started mass ideation. I started mass ideation in 2009 in January. 10 months into the year, my sons were about to be born. Mass ideation at the day my sons were born was owed over $100,000. I had clients that owed me over $100,000 on the day my sons were born. You don't understand stress like that. So the fear of not being able to feed them, it was the only reason I would have ever quit, right? Like, if you can't feed your family, is nothing, right? So how I overcome that fear is by making sure I'm willing to work as hard as humanly possible to make sure that those kids eat every day. And I always say I'd rather work 100 hours for myself than 40 for somebody else. 40 hours a week is a normal job. I work 100, but I'd rather work the 100 for me, right? And I'm good with the 100 because I love what I do. I actually don't even feel like it's work. I get paid to do what I love. Most people don't get that. So I'm never, ever down on that. But great question. A way I manage fear, what I used to do, and I want to do it again, is I started boxing. If you talk to many entrepreneurs, they look for things that help them manage fear. Boxing is one of the few things that help you manage fear, because in a fight, both people are scared. There's no way, even Mike Tyson has said, when the bell rings, I am scared. So boxing is this thing where you manage fear. So I started doing that, and it really helped me with managing fear. I don't box professionally ever because I need my brain, but I do the training, and it is, you get in the ring and you have to spar with somebody, and it is fear. It's managing fear. All right, give me another question, Isaac or actually Nasheem. Can you ask a question on camera? Let's go. Put Nasheem up. Oh wow, how did I do that? All right, so what makes an entrepreneur, and how do you push yourself every day to do your job? All right, so to me, an entrepreneur, what makes an entrepreneur is a person that is just trying to figure out how to make money on their own terms. That's really all it is, right? I can say, you know what, today, instead of going to that job, I'm going to buy, you saw Paco's story Monday. He said he was able to buy gummy bears or something like that, sell them for more in school. That's an entrepreneur. Figure out how to sell something that makes you profit. That's all it is, on your own terms. That's all it is. So Nasheem, ask me a question. I'll put you on the spot, but hello, you there?
Yeah, you're muted.
Oh, I'm muted?
Oh no, he's
You
muted.
answered the question I was gonna take. So
Oh, okay. So all right, you're gonna ask a question of you. So all right, any other questions? Any other questions? Pull up.
Yeah, this one.
Do you want your kids to follow in your footsteps and do what you do today? Great question. Part of me, of course, is going to say yes, because I love my life and I want my kids to be happy. And I do believe, because if you look at the human life, most of it is spent working. So if you look at the total number of hours you live, sleep and work take up most of it. So for me, to live a happy life, you got to enjoy what you do for a living. So I enjoy what I do for a living, so I hope my kids get to do that, right? But that doesn't mean they're going to enjoy what I do. So part of what I try to do is show them, the same way I show you guys, the options, and show them that they have every option available to them, and I will help them with any option they choose. They don't have to choose my option. But like me, I saw my dad. My dad was an entrepreneur. Not a good one, but he was one. And I may not be a great one either, but I am one. So I believe I picked it up through osmosis, just being around my dad. And I became one because I saw what he was able to do, right? So I hope in a way that my kids eventually learn it from me and choose based on what they want to do. Good question, though. Really good question. Any other questions? Nasheem, you got any questions for me? Not yet. Not yet. Anybody else?
Let's see. How exactly did you start as an entrepreneur? You know, forgetting all of that, just one day you sat down, you were just there. Why did you, out of everything you could have possibly been, why an entrepreneur?
So I guess I didn't really see it as I was becoming an entrepreneur when I did it, right? It was more like I didn't want to be under anyone else's like
Schedule.
I don't know the better word for it than rule. Basically, I was under someone else's rule. They told me what to do, when to do it, how much I could make. Really did not like that. Like, you know, especially because I felt like there was always going to be a limit on me because I was a brown person in a not brown environment, right? So I started to take on more work than I could possibly do myself. At one point, I had more than 24 hours of work a day. So I realized the only real way to do that is to get other people to help me. So I said, all right, I need to learn business. I need to understand how to manage people, how to pay them, how to make sure everybody's happy. So I became a business owner. I would say I became an entrepreneur much earlier before that because I was always looking for ways to make money on my own terms. I would make websites for people. I would make logos, DJ covers, anything people were willing to pay me to do graphically with my computer, I would do. So I was kind of an entrepreneur already. So does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Good. All right. Any other questions? Nasheem, you got a question? Ask it. Put it up on the screen and ask it.
What are you working on in the future?
What am I working on in the future?
Yeah, like one of your big projects that you're gonna make.
All right. So right now, I'm about to launch an app through a startup that I help create and fundraise. Caesar, who was on the show yesterday, we spoke about it. That's going to come out soon. I'm going to be really excited to do that. Hopefully we launch it here. But in the future, what I really want to work on is what I spoke about in the Tedx Talk. Is I want to create what I call the abundance framework. What that is a way for everyone from communities to benefit from the innovation that comes from those communities. So I'm going to give you a little bit of what I said in the TED Talk. I talked about hip hop. Hip hop was created in the South Bronx. Hip hop is a multi-billion-dollar industry, but the South Bronx hasn't really benefited from it. So I want to create through technology, through blockchain, through AI, I want to create an environment that allows people from these communities to benefit from the innovation that comes from them. I.e., let's say we come up with this game and we come up with many games. All of you come up with games. The games start making money. Imagine if the people who played the games could also make money from the money that's being made, right? And now everybody wins. Of course, we are very far from that. But that's where I want to eventually, before I die, I want to figure out how to make something like that possible, because it goes back to your question, Isaac. Why did I get involved in AI? I do believe one day AI will do a lot of the work for us. So all we will have is our data. So us moving around the world, us doing things, powers AI. So if the AI is making all the money based off our data, shouldn't we be paid for our data? That's how I look at it. And I want to create something that allows us to be paid for our data, because if we're not, how are we going to be paid? So that's kind of a big goal of mine, a big idea that I would like to work on one day. Great question, Nasheem. And you're going to have to take that clip, edit it, and you're going to use it as promotion tomorrow. Good question. All right, what else? Give me another question. We got 10 minutes. Kevin, what was my favorite project? Good question. Man, I don't know. Guess that's a good thing. I've had so many fun projects that I can't think of my favorite. If I had to think right this second, I'm going to say when we worked on the artificial intelligence glasses for the surgery, There's a few reasons why I say that. I didn't code a line of code on that. But because I speak at conferences and stuff like that, the founder, who's a Metabronx alum now, she was told, hey, what you want to do, I think there's this guy in the Bronx that can help you do it. So she randomly calls me one day, and I randomly pick up. I normally don't pick up numbers. I randomly pick up. She says, hi, my name is Train. I was told you can help me. And I'm like, uh-oh, what's this about? So she says, I need to create my what's called MVP, minimum viable product, for my artificial intelligence augmented reality surgery glasses. And I was like, ding, you said a lot of cool words in a row. Okay, I'm interested. So she said, look, I need to make this. I hear you can make it. And like I told you a story before, all of you heard my story of my first website, right? First time somebody asked me to make a website, I was like, yes, I can do that, even though I didn't know if I could do it. With her project, I knew more that I could do that than I knew I could make the website back then. Because I had already worked on many things where the pieces were there. I just needed to bring them together. Why it was my favorite project, I can't really think of many. The J-Lo one sticks out because I was in love with J-Lo. But this one was super cool because as I was working on it, she was like, okay, we need to test it. And I was like, wait a minute. How could we test a product that's supposed to be used during surgery? How do you do that? She said, well, there's a place we go to where we try it out on dead bodies. And this is how medical products are tested. And I said, I'm going to throw up. And she said, no, you're not. Trust me. And I was like, do I have to be there? Because I'm pretty sure I'm going to throw up. And I feel like throwing up right now, even you just telling me that we're going to test what my company made on dead bodies. She said, don't worry, you can do it. So the place was in Long Island. Even right now, telling the story, I feel like throwing up. The whole time driving up there, I'm like, I'm going to throw up. I'm definitely going to throw up. So we get there, and I'm like, man, I don't think I can do this. I almost threw up walking into the room. I get in the room. It's not a whole dead body. They like just chop the part that you need. Yeah.
No.
And I'm like, I'm good. I was like, I could have been a surgeon. Damn. So I go and I put on the glasses and I test the product out. And I'm doing it. And I'm not throwing up. And I learned something about myself that day, right? Like, I almost stopped myself from having that experience because I thought I knew how I would react to it, and I didn't react the way I thought I would. But I never would have been given that opportunity if I didn't work on that project, right? And again, it always comes back a little bit to Metabronx. You guys are in this opportunity, right? Right now, Madison, you're on video, live on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and you didn't even want to be on camera this morning, right? You did it. Nothing happened, right? Now you're a star. That's how it works. You just got to be in the environment to see how you're going to react. You too, Isaac. Today's the first day I see your face. And you're
I told you, my dog ate my camera. He paid for a new one, so here it is.
So now you're a star, right? Nasheem, you too. You didn't come the first 2 days, so I fired you, but I gave you your job back this morning, luckily, and you're on camera asking questions. And later today, you're going to make edited marketing for us to promote this show, right? So it's about putting yourself in the environment, not worried about how you think you're going to react. Let yourself tell you that in that moment, right? So that was my favorite project. Great question, though. Good one, good one. All right, we got any more? We got 5 minutes, so I'll send you guys all to lunch.
Whoops.
If I was there, I wouldn't. Wait, what did he say? What did he say? If I was, I wouldn't stop throwing up until that's what I thought. And I still right now, I did it multiple times. We tested that product at least 4 times, and I didn't throw up once. But right now, talking about it, I feel like throwing up. So I don't know what to tell you. All right. What made you want to become what you are today? How did you find that career? What are some things we should know when we are choosing our career? I didn't really plan this, I'll be honest. I didn't. It comes back to, I think the way I would answer this question for you guys is, it comes back to the question I asked you when you guys came to my group. What's your 10-year goal? Nobody ever really asked me that. You know what I mean? Like, so I kind of went on some path that I just followed whatever interested me, which I'm lucky to be able to do. In a way, I am privileged to even be able to do that. And that comes from having good parents, having parents that both supported everything I've done financially and emotionally, right? That is not always the case. And I'm very, very lucky for that. My whole family, actually, not just my parents. But I always wanted to be involved in innovation. So ever since I got that computer, right? It was like, whoa, this is the future. I want to be involved in everything like this going forward, right? So I am. I put myself in that position. When the first AR glasses came out, I had them. That's why I was ready when that woman reached out to me to make those glasses. I had been 2 years working on those glasses when she reached out to me. So I was ready for that. There was no client that was asking for it at that time. Very little bit of people knew about it that knew it even existed. But again, if you remember my story, I always tried to be ahead of the curve because I felt like innovation was my only way to stay ahead in this industry. If I was just a brown person who knew how to do everything everybody else did, nobody would have hired me. That's how I felt. So I said, you know what? I'm going to know how to do things on the bleeding edge so everybody knows who I am, right? So for you, it's very based on what you are interested in doing, right? I would tell you, just like I would tell my kids, think about the thing that you believe you can do, and money, it doesn't even matter. Like, you would do it for free. I honestly believe I would do any of this stuff for free, but I'm good enough at it where they're going to pay me well because I spent so much time on it, right? For you guys, for you young people, this Metabronx context really is made so you can start finding the thing that just gives you that feeling like, ooh, I really enjoy doing that. I would love to be able to do that for 40, 100 hours a week, right? That's really how I would answer that question. And I know it's 1 minute left, so I'm going to end it in the way I told you guys to end it. Do you remember how I told you to end it? We're going to bring up the screen. Remember the screen? Nope, it's in the brand. It's in brand. So you have to press the I'm teaching live on video. Awesome. So take off the scroll though. This video is though sponsored by Metabronx and Mass Ideation. This last screen here is made for YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, there's a video on the screen right now that is YouTube believes is something you want to watch. Thank you. Please subscribe to this, like this video, and share it. Thank you very much for coming and watching the Entrepreneur Hour.